Hi, my name is Autif Kamal, and this is another video on logic and reasoning. This one is on disjunctive propositions. Below you'll find my contact info. You could send any questions, comments, and feedback to kautif@gmail.com. You can do the same using my Skype user ID, autif.kamal. And please check out my website, webs.logicandreasoning.com. There you'll find my other videos on logic and reasoning, as well as supplementary exercises. There's a forum to leave comments and questions for me and the viewers. There's a link to a chat room to discuss content live, either while or while not watching the videos. There's information on when I'm available to discuss content live, as well as information on how to earn certificates. Okay, and now I'm going to move on to the value you can get from knowing how to identify and formulate disjunctive propositions. Okay, so I was making a plan, or I am making a plan, to visit my dad in Pakistan, but I don't want to go on my own. I want to go with my brother. So I got in touch with him. I asked him when he's available. He said he could go either in November or March. That is a disjunctive proposition. Okay, now we're not going to go in both March and November. If we choose to go in November, we're not going to go in March. If we choose to go in March, we're not going to go in November. Now, in this case, the value in making a disjunctive proposition is to lay out the possibilities. In this particular case, we are predetermining that we're not going to go in both months. So then the months exclude each other. They will not both be true at the same time. It will only be true that we'll go in one of those months. Okay? And now I'm going to move on to showing you visuals to make it clear when a disjunctive proposition is true or false. Okay, so here we have the propositions. You either had bacon or eggs. Now, let's say it's true. Not only did you have bacon, but you had eggs as well. If we look at the first disjunctive proposition loosely, then it would be true. However, if I had predetermined that you would have only bacon or eggs, I was saying that you're not going to have both, you'll only have one of them, but actually you end up having both of them. In that case, the first disjunctive proposition will be false. Now for the second, you don't have bacon, but you do have eggs, so it's false that you had bacon. Since one of my disjuncts, bacon or eggs, is true, then the second disjunctive proposition is true. For the third case, it's false that you had eggs, but it's true that you had bacon. Since one of my disjuncts are true, then the third disjunctive proposition is true. Okay, then for the last disjunctive proposition, let's say it's false that you had bacon or eggs. You neither had bacon nor eggs. Since neither of the possibilities that I mentioned, neither of the disjuncts that I mentioned are true, then this disjunctive proposition is false. Okay, so in these cases we have the predicates as the disjuncts, bacon or eggs. Now in this case we have the subjects as the disjuncts. So in the first case, the disjunctive proposition is Bolt or Johnson is the fastest runner. Now let's say they both win, they get the exact same time in the race. In that case, they would both be the fastest runners. So in that case, the disjunctive proposition would be true. But let's say that I predetermine, I say that only Bolt or Johnson is the fastest runner, but they both end up winning. They both end up tying. Then, in that case, the first disjunctive proposition would be false. Now for the second case, it's false that Bolt is the fastest runner, but Johnson is the fastest runner. Since one of the disjuncts I mentioned, Bolt or Johnson, is true, then the second disjunctive proposition is true. For the third case, it's false that Johnson is the fastest runner, but it's true that Bolt is. In this case, again, since one of my disjuncts is true, it's true that Bolt is the fastest runner, then the third case is true. In the last case, neither Bolt nor Johnson is the fastest runner. It's false that Bolt is, and it's false that Johnson is the fastest runner. In that case, since both of my disjuncts are false, this disjunctive proposition is false. Okay, now you're going to try some on your own. Here are two pairs of propositions. You're going to formulate two disjunctive propositions. After you do that, for each disjunctive proposition, what you're going to do is you're going to distribute truth, falsity, or a combination of truth and falsity to each of the disjuncts. And then for each of the cases in which you distribute truth, falsity, or a combination of those, you're going to say whether the disjunctive proposition would be true or false. And that may sound a little confusing, but basically it's exactly what we've been doing over here and over here. Sorry. Okay. Alright, so I'll give you a moment to work on that. If you need more time, you can pause the video. Otherwise, I will move on to the answers, which I will do right now. Okay, so science journals are technical or theoretical. Let's say we're looking at this disjunctive proposition loosely, and it ends up being the case that science journals are both technical and theoretical. In that case, the first disjunctive proposition would be true. Let's say I predetermine, I say in advance that only one of those will be true, either technical or theoretical, but they end up both being true. Then in that case, the first disjunctive proposition would be false. Let's say it's false that they are technical, but they end up being theoretical. Since one of my disjuncts, technical or theoretical, are true, then that disjunctive proposition is true. Let's say it's false that they are theoretical, but it's true that they're technical. Again, one of my disjuncts is true, so the disjunctive proposition is true. In the last case, neither technical science journals are neither technical or theoretical. So this last disjunctive proposition is false, since neither of the disjuncts, neither of the possibilities I mentioned are true. Okay, so that was with the predicates as the disjuncts. Now we'll talk about the subjects, eating less or exercising, as the disjuncts. So in this case, if we're looking at the first disjunctive proposition loosely, and it ends up being true that both eating less and exercising reduces cholesterol, then in that case, the disjunctive proposition will be true. But if I predetermine, if I say in advance that only eating less or exercising reduces cholesterol, then this first disjunctive proposition would be false, in the case that it ends up being that both are true. Okay, then in the second case, it's false that eating less reduces cholesterol, but it ends up being true that exercising does reduce cholesterol. One of my disjuncts is true, eating less or exercising, so the second disjunctive proposition is true. In the third case, eating less reduces cholesterol is true, but exercising reduces cholesterol is false. Again, at least one of my disjuncts is true, so the third disjunctive proposition is true. In the last case, neither eating less nor exercising reduces cholesterol. Those are both false, so the last disjunctive proposition would be false. Okay? Now here's an idea for you to get some practice beyond this slideshow. You can go to books.google.com. In the left hand side there will be a search bar. In that search bar you'll type in a keyword for a book. Some examples are like decisions or options. After you initiate the search, on the left hand side click on Preview Available or Free Google eBooks. After you do that, select a book, and then after you've selected a book, hold Control. While you're holding Control on the keyboard, press F, and then type in a keyword to search within the book, such as either, or type in or. And after you type that in, you can either get disjunctive propositions which you can copy, or which you can use to formulate your own. Then after you either copy a disjunctive proposition or formulate one, you're going to distribute truth, falsity, or a combination of those to each of the disjuncts and determine whether the disjunctive proposition is true or false in each case that you do. Okay?